Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us. We'll get started here in just about another minute or two. So hang tight. Thanks so much. All right. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, depending where you are. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us. My name is Mark Bolger. I'm the Director of Sales for the Life and Final Expense products here at Pinnacle. And thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us. We're going to be talking about some ways that you can increase your sales by adding life and final expense products to your portfolio. Lots of good information we'll be going over today. Might keep some of the information brief because I do have like a lot of statistics and things like that I want to be sharing with you guys. And so just wanted to start too. I have my contact information right on the first page, as well as my colleague Warren Redinger, who also handles the life and final expense products here. You guys can reach out to us anytime if you have questions or if you need help with getting set up with any of these products. My phone number and extension and email address is listed there, as well as Warren's. A couple of housekeeping items. We do have the phone lines on mute. And like I mentioned, we are going to kind of keep this a little bit brief, maybe about 20-25 minutes today. Everybody that is registered for this webinar will be receiving a copy of the recording, as well as the slides that we'll be reviewing today. So those will be sent out to you before the end of the day today. All right, so we'll get started here. I know we might have some new agents on the line. We might have some existing agents. But just want to give you guys a little bit of background as far as who Pinnacle is and who we are. So we're a national brokerage. We're licensed in all 50 states. National brokerage, FMO, IMO, whatever you want to call it. It's the top of the hierarchy. We have over 130 something carriers that we have contracts with that we're able to offer our agents. So plenty of room under the sun here, so to speak. We're located right outside of Philadelphia, right up in Warminster, PA, right in the heart of Bucks County. If you are located anywhere near here, want to come by, stop by, say hi, certainly do so. Some of the products that we do, so besides the life and the final expense, we offer fixed index and immediate annuities, our long-term care, Medicare, and then obviously all the different types of life insurance, which we will go over in quite some detail here over the next couple slides. Okay, so whether you do sell Medicare or maybe you just sell life, if you're looking to cross-sell, we do have all of these product lines. Certainly feel free to give us a call. We'll get you in touch with a specialist to certainly help you out. Our website, for those of you who are not familiar, it is www.pfsinsurance.com. So once you are contracted and in our system, you'll have full access to our website. This is basically our central hub. Rather than you having to go to countless number of websites and having to remember passwords and login information, we keep everything right in one location. So when you're doing your daily office or work routine, you can keep basically our website and maybe your email open and still be able to conduct business that way. And because of this being a central hub, to kind of explain that, what that means is, we have all of the e-apps, all of the marketing materials, the paper applications, the quoting software, the lead resources, trainings, everything right on our website. So you don't need to go to the carrier's website, so you don't need to go to multiple other websites. And it's incredible how quickly having multiple websites open can clutter your workspace. So with that being said, these are all of the things that we have available on our website. And this list is still growing. We're constantly updating and just adding new features to make your lives easier, right? If you're a new agent and you want to, schedule a demo for our website, we can give you free access for a week, to kind of go through, play around with, some of the different resources that we do have available there. Okay. Besides our website, we make it even easier to run quotes. You can download our free mobile quoting app software. Okay. It's free on the App Store if you're an iPhone user, or it's free on the Google Play Store if you're an Android user. Okay, and this just allows you to run quick quotes for final expense, for Medicare, hospital indemnity, a few different products that you can run right from your mobile app there. So we certainly encourage you to do that. When you're in our system here, as soon as you contract, our system basically does paperless contracting. So you're never going to have to fill out like a full carrier contract. I don't know if any of you have ever seen those, but they're, can be anywhere from 60 to 80 pages per carrier. So all you have to do is, when you're set up with us, I mentioned we have over 130 different companies. If you'd like to request an appointment, all you have to do is just give us a call, shoot us an email. We have your information saved here. Our licensing department will push out this contract in no time. So again, you don't have to fill out any paperwork. It's just that initial contract that we get from you when you're onboarding. Okay. And this allows you to apply for multiple carriers at once, or maybe sometime somewhere down the road, if you have a particular client where they need this new plan or this new product that's out and you're not contracted. Again, all you have to do is just give us a call or shoot us an email. We'll push that out right away for you guys. All right, so to get into the bulk of the presentation here. So we're going to talk about the life insurance products that we do offer here at Pinnacle, and how you can increase your sales by adding, some of these life products. Okay, many of you might be, into the Medicare business. Maybe you've sold a little bit of life insurance in the past, but haven't been paying much attention to it, and just figure maybe a lot of the rules and things like that have changed, and you're not up to speed on it. That's totally fine. We have all the products, all the top carriers, all across the board. So to give you, and again, this is a very brief but quick summary of the life insurance products that we offer here, and should hopefully eliminate some of your questions as far as like the differences between these types of life insurance products. I get questions all the time where people will confuse the term and the ULs, or the the whole life, and I've heard all the terms where they mix them up. So what's nice with this is it kind of outlines everything right here. And we'll start with the whole life at the very top here. So this is basically a form of permanent life insurance, right? It's going to offer a lifetime death benefit, and it's going to protect your client up to age 121. Okay, so if they die, pass away anytime before age 121, they're guaranteed that death benefit, right? These whole life policies, they're also going to guarantee cash value. Okay, it's a form of permanent life insurance. So, a portion of each premium that your clients pay gets put into this cash value account, right? And they can access that at any time of the life of the policy. They could use that to take out a policy loan. If they want to surrender the policy, that's the amount that they would get. So that kind of differs from some of the other like term and UL products that may or may not accumulate cash value, right? So with that being said about the whole life, so we have a few different types of whole life products. Obviously, we have the final expenses, which is going to be geared towards your senior market, typically between age 50 to 85. We have our traditional whole life, which is pretty much for all ages, 0 to 85. And then we have children's whole life. Okay, these are policies specifically designed for children. And you can see, the age ranges anywhere from 0 to 17, up to roughly about $50,000. Okay, so you might say, okay, well that's great. It's a permanent form of life insurance, but what is it's such a small face amount, right? Maybe I'm looking for a couple $100,000, or maybe a few million, right? Well, if you look over on the far right-hand side of this whole life column here, these are the advantages of this product, right? So you're going to have non-medical underwriting. So your client's never going to have to take a paramed exam, never have to draw blood or anything like that, right? They only have the simplified or guaranteed issue plans. So that means that they're just answering a couple yes/no health questions in order to qualify, right? So I mention that because people say, well, my client needs a lot more than 50,000 or 100,000 or whatever. the reason why these face amounts are usually so low is because these are non-medical simplified issue plans, right? They're never going to require a medical exam. When we start going into the term and the UL products, those have larger face amounts, upwards of $1 million and so forth. So the insurance company, just trying to, I guess, be cautious, right? They're going to typically order full medical records for people applying for those types of plans. So, maybe your client has a few health issues that they could get by with the whole life, but they may get rated or declined if they do something that's fully underwritten, right? So there's certain advantages to having a whole life versus the term or the ULs, and vice versa, right? Which I'll be going over in the next couple slides here. And not to get off track too, but let me finish with the whole life as well. These are also very quick to issue, usually within a couple days, whereas the term and the universal life can take a couple weeks, sometimes even a couple months, right? Okay. With the whole life as well, pretty much all of these have e-apps. It's not going to necessarily be the case with the term life and the universal life plans. Okay. So whole life, generally a little bit smaller face amounts, but they are, easy to qualify for because of the simplified issue underwriting, and they're permanent insurance solutions, which are going to last the life of your client, right? They're never going to outlive their policy as long as they're paying for it. Okay. So the next one up here, we have the term life. Okay. Maybe some of your clients have been asking about this. Here at Pinnacle, we deal mainly with the senior market. So most of our agents, don't really sell to the younger crowd, but totally fine. We do have a lot of agents that do. And hey, you may come across people that are asking for it. Maybe your client's children or grandchildren are asking for it. All the reason to just have, a couple companies in your portfolio, for when somebody's asking for it. So with term life, okay, what this is offers anywhere from 10, 15, 20, 25, even up to 30 years of guaranteed level insurance. Okay, so they'll be paying, $50 a month, $100 a month, whatever the price is, they'll be paying that for the length of the term. Okay, so you see 10 to 30 years. Let's say they get a 30-year policy, obviously at the end of 30 years, that policy is essentially expired, right? They can continue to keep the coverage, but usually those rates are going to skyrocket. For example, it might be $50 a month up until that 31st year. Then it might go up to maybe $1,000 a month. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. So again, with this, these are not permanent. It's not going to accumulate any sort of cash value. It's just basically coverage for a specific amount of time. Okay. These term plans are great for, newlyweds or, couples maybe just had a child, maybe they purchased a new home. You'll see when we run some of these quotes here in a little bit that the term life face amounts are typically, $100,000 and up. So these are perfect types of plans that are inexpensive, for someone to purchase to cover their mortgage or to, cover their children's education in the event of a spouse passing away, right? We have a few different types of term life products. Now, I mentioned that they do require a paramed. It's not going to be for every one of them, but the majority of them that are going to have that are going to be priced the best will require that full medical exam. Okay. So we have the traditional underwriting, which does require the medical exam. That's going to be available typically for ages 18 to 70, for as little as $25,000 up to $1 million plus, right? We also have accelerated underwriting. So what that means is if you're running a quote, I'll show you guys some examples here in a few minutes, but you might see when you run a quote that it says accelerated underwriting eligible. And what that means is we're not 100% sure that it's going to be non-medical. As soon as we submit it to the carrier will make that determination if they need a full medical exam or not. What they do is they'll do a quick preliminary history on the client by checking their MIB. And as long as that's clear, as long as they don't have any like medications or anything that's causing any red flags, they'll go ahead and push that through non-medically. Okay. So with that one, it's the middle of the road. It's like we have a 50-50 chance, right? Is typically what I'll tell agents. Also too, if you're there with the client, maybe you know them, we have some fact finders that you can send to your client beforehand. This way it'll give you a little bit of information about their health, so you can make that determination, beforehand. And then we also have the simplified issue underwriting. Okay, so these plans are not, you can see that their face amount really maxes out around 300,000. These are a little bit more expensive because of the simplified issue underwriting. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend starting with that, just because your client could typically be paying twice as much as they would be if they were to have undergone a paramed. But sometimes the situation might make sense for them to do that. We do have some products available. Give us a call, ask us. We'll be delighted to help you out with that. Okay, and I kind of explained what this is: the accelerated underwriting, where the carrier is going to make that determination, and then obviously the simplified issue underwriting, where it's a true non-medical, but it's just going to be much more expensive than the traditional or accelerated, right? All right. Finally, we have the universal life products. Okay, so universal life, a little bit different than the whole life, but it kind of goes in the same category in the sense that they're permanent, right? It's permanent protection for your clients, and it's typically combined with flexibility as far as like paying their premiums. The policy is not going to lapse. Maybe if they if they miss a premium 1 month, sometimes they have that flexibility to pay it a few times throughout the year, which is different than the whole life, where if you miss a premium, then they give you a notice saying like, hey, in 30 days, if you don't make the payment, then this policy will terminate, right? So this also has the addition to accumulate significant cash value. Okay, so with the whole life, we know that we accumulate cash value year after year, but we know that these have smaller face amounts, right? With the whole life, universal life typically going to be upwards of $1 million plus, which allows for significant cash value accumulation. That's typically going to be with our index universal life plans. These are tied to the S&P 500. It's going to be based on the performance of the index. These index universal life plans are going to be the best form of permanent insurance with the most cash value accumulation. Okay, but the downside to that is it always is going to require a full medical exam. Okay, so I know a lot of agents call and say, oh, I think that IUL would be perfect for my client. She's in her 50s, but she has a couple health issues. Probably not the best, because it's very possible that they could be declined or very heavily rated for that. Okay. The other type of universal life we have is the guaranteed universal life. Okay. This is a guaranteed death benefit with little to no cash value accumulation. Okay. This is the cheapest form of universal life coverage that is out there. Okay. You'll typically see that the GUL, which is the acronym for this, can come in a little bit cheaper than maybe a final expense or a traditional whole life plan. Not always, but sometimes. Again, it's just another alternative, to the whole life. Maybe it's a little bit better priced, but it's pretty much always going to guarantee that you're going to have to do a medical exam as well with that GUL. Okay, so term life, universal life, most likely have to do a medical exam, especially if they have some minor health issues. Then you can pretty much guarantee they'll have to do a medical exam. And then the whole life, remember at the top, no medical exam at all simplified issue, right? Okay. So again, I'm going to be sending everybody a copy of these slides so you have them for your notes. I know there's a lot of info on here. But this next slide is kind of like a nice little representation of, what age group should I market what type of insurance to. And as you can see here, this is just kind of like a graphic I took from one of the life insurance brochures here. But, it's kind of talking about, your younger crowd, anywhere from 18 to maybe 40 or so. Term life or even universal life is a good option for these clientele. Mainly, we say that because they obviously have most of their life left to live. Maybe they have some children or some dependents that in the event of their passing would have some financial hardships. So term life and universal life plans that are going to have those higher face amounts typically do better for the younger crowd. Doesn't necessarily mean that they shouldn't do a whole life, but sometimes it just might may not make as much sense for them to spend more money on a whole life plan when they can certainly get that maybe at a later age. So you see here, right around the retirement to the retired age, and this typically I'd say age 55 to 85, right? We certainly do have some clients that are still looking for some term insurance. I mentioned that we can go as little as 10 years. So, if you have somebody that's 55 or 65, if you get them 10 years of term insurance, that still cover them for a pretty good amount of time. But most of the time we want to approach these clients with permanent life insurance. And by that, I mean the final expense, which is our whole life, remember, non-medical permanent life insurance plans. I mentioned the final expense because it's going to also be the most lenient for this age group, right? Most people, after 55, 60 years old, they're going to accumulate some health issues. Maybe, they're minor, but they could be very significant, right? Things like diabetes, maybe they experienced a heart attack or a stroke. These final expense plans are very lenient with those types of conditions, whereas all the other plans, term and traditional whole life and even the regular universal life, they're going to really scrutinize those health conditions and most likely end up in a decline. Okay, so final expense is very, very good for the senior crowd. It's not the buy all end all solution. Again, you got to talk to your clients. Maybe they are a very healthy 65-year-old that doesn't mind going through a medical exam to get some universal life or term insurance. You have to make that call. But generally speaking, this is kind of just an average case scenario, so to speak, right? And I got some excellent statistics here that I grabbed from AIG, which will also just help in just you prospecting and finding clients that could use any of these life insurance options, right? The first thing is just having that conversation with your clients. And there's nothing better than just throwing a couple statistics out at your clients, or just knowing these in the back of your mind before you go in, right? But I just find these facts so interesting here that first of all, if we look here, we have the baby boomer generation, born from 1946 to 1964. And the question here is, can you finance your desired retirement, right? And just some of these questions and statistics here are just fascinating. So one of the questions, do you have enough life insurance or do you have enough money for retirement? So more than 1 in 3 65-year-olds today will live to age 90, okay? That's a great fact in there. A lot of people might say, well, I'm 67 years old and I have enough to get me through till the next couple of years. You don't want to have them, give you that doom and gloom scenario, so to speak. So use these statistics and facts to your advantage. So many times people will come back and say, well, I can't afford it, or they'll give you all sorts of, rejections, right? Or objections, I should say. A lot of times when you come back and you say like, hey, look, did you know that, we're 1 in 3 seniors are going to live till 90, maybe you should get an extra, couple $1,000s of coverage. You don't want to put your family, you don't want to leave the burden of final expenses to them, right? So use these statistics to your advantage. I'm not going to go through every one of these here just for time's sake, but like I said, you'll all be getting a copy of these slides. So certainly, keep them in your portfolio, reference them as much as you want, right? So we'll go on to the Generation X, born from 1965 to 1979. Okay, so 71% of Gen Xers, they don't think they will have saved enough uh, money at age 65 to meet their retirement needs. Okay, 71%, 7 out of 10 people, right? Some of these other ones, 81% of Gen Xers are without a financial plan for retirement, right? Again, these are, the people that are in that, that 40 to 50-year-old range. Maybe, it's still an opportune time for them to get some term insurance or maybe an indexed universal life plan, which would help them save for retirement, right? Again, you'll see some statistics over here. You got 80% of older adults have at least one chronic health issue. That's another thing. You want to let your clients know, hey, the longer you wait to get life insurance, not only is it more expensive, but you don't know what your health is going to look like tomorrow. You could get a diagnosis that you weren't expecting, right? That is certainly going to affect the outcome of your life insurance, right? So get it while you're healthy. Get it, while it's on your mind. I can't tell you how many times agents have called me saying, "Oh, is that my client? She called me back. She said she's ready to go with that plan. Can she still get it? She just had a stroke, two days ago. She realized she needs this plan." It's like, no, unfortunately not. We do have different plans for that situation, but it's not going to be, immediate coverage. It's not going to be what you had discussed with that client before they were sick, right? So again, use these to your advantage. We got the millennials in here too, which are, just completely just, opposite ends of the baby boomers, so to speak. But I think it was saying that, let's see, some crazy statistic in here. 70% of, you know what, I'm having a brain melt here, but there was something where it was almost like 40 or 50% of millennials are still, being supported by their parents who are in the baby boomer generation. That's a crazy statistic. You never would have thought that looking back 20 or 30 years ago, right? So maybe, maybe somebody like that that you need to approach, and is going to be moving out soon, is going to have their own house or their own mortgage, but maybe they're a little bit past the the 18 to 25-year-old mark there. Maybe they're 40 or 45. Who knows? This is a reality, and these statistics will certainly certainly give you a clear picture of that for sure. Another important slide I wanted to add in here, because I think it really speaks to what I was talking about, the final expense, just like the realities of, getting life insurance coverage after the age of 50. Kind of going back to, some of the conversations I have from agents, but they'll call and say, my client, 75 years old, and she's looking for, $1 million of coverage, but she can only pay, $200 a month. Just some outlandish type of requests that pretty much don't exist for most clients that are over 50, right? But just some things to keep in mind. The typical person experiences more health problems once they reach the age of 50, like I mentioned. 75% of Americans over 50 are taking one or more prescription drugs. Okay. Remember I mentioned that the whole life final expense are the most lenient. Well, the universal life and the term plans, again, are going to really look under the microscope as far as prescription drugs and, again, any sort of health issues, right? Existing health problems certainly get more severe. Moderate or poor health status is a higher risk to insurance providers, obviously. The older the clients get, obviously the premiums increase, but also the risk for the insurance company. They have their life expectancy statistics that they go off of, and all these things are just to keep in mind, for when your client is asking for certain types of insurance. Other things, what you could do, you could focus on the cost. So rather than this specific face amount number that your client has, whether it's 100,000 or a million or 10,000, whatever it is, let's focus on the cost, because the realities of those costs at specific ages can really cause, a surprise. Going back to that client I was just talking about, who's 75, who's requesting $1 million, I've ran those quotes before, and they certainly come into, maybe like $12,000 a month. Hey, maybe you have a client that can afford that, but the majority of them, are going to balk at that price. So if you could say, hey, listen, what can you afford, Mrs. Jones? What's the maximum, or what is comfortable for you? If she says $100 a month, then find her something that's $80 a month or so. Okay, give them a little bit of a cushion there. And then this way, what we can do is we can solve or run quotes based on how much your client is willing to pay. Okay, we can basically solve it backwards. Okay, and then that's going to allow them to see the reality of the cost of insurance for that age, right? We'll find a policy that builds cash value. Obviously, the whole life final expense does do that. Another reason to have the final expense is because of those health issues. Any of these companies that do require medical exams, if your client does have health issues, I could tell you it's just going to be a long and just lengthy process just to let them know that they're declined. Okay, so the final expense will give you a very quick underwriting decision, and these plans can be issued pretty much right away within a couple days. And it's a nice little chart just showing like the cost of funerals, final expenses. The average cost in 2015 was around $9,000. I believe in 2021 it is approaching somewhere about $10,500. Just to keep that in mind. A lot of clients might say, well, I'll get Social Security when my husband or my wife passes. Not true. They will only get $255, right? And that was a law that was enacted in 1954 and has not changed since. Okay, so the realities of this, and some of these statistics and facts are going to be excellent tools for you to have when you're sitting there having conversations with your clients, answering questions, and sometimes bringing them back down to reality. Sometimes they're just like, well, I saw on TV I can get a policy for $1 million for under $50. It's like, well, you didn't obviously read the fine print. So just things like that are can really get people's hopes up. You want to kind of just come in and give them the reality of these costs. All right, and this this chart here kind of goes towards the life insurance as well, but I thought this was really nice to show of how much you as an agent, how much extra income you can earn just by adding final expense or term life or universal life or all of them, right? So this is just with a traditional final expense plan, and you'll see that the commissions here are roughly around $115. I'll say with the life insurance or the traditional life insurance, like the term and the ULs, they're more down in like the 90 to 100% range. So this annual income will be a little bit lower, but you never know. I mean, you do have higher face amounts with those products, so they could kind of even themselves out a little bit. But hey, look, if you're our one agent and you're writing 8 life insurance apps per month, and even if it's just the simplified issue final expense, right? You can expect roughly $77,000 of income, of extra income, if you just keep on that pace of 8 apps per month. That's 2 per week, okay? And obviously, like I said, the final expense apps are very easy. There's no medical underwriting. They're very, just yes, no health questions. They have e-apps. These are very easy to do remotely, very easy to explain to your clients. So, these figures here are certainly a reality, right? So if that's, 2 apps per week, 8 per month, let's say if you bump that up to maybe 12 apps or 16 apps, look at the income that you can add just by offering this to your clients, right? And our team here at Pinnacle, we'll do one-on-one training with you. We'll make sure that you understand the products inside and out before you go on your appointment, before you go and do your presentation. We have all the marketing materials. We have all the carriers, all the products. One of the big things that I would recommend is, just start talking to your clients, maybe your existing clients or anybody that's been on the fence. and just say, hey, listen, I have an opportunity to, to offer all types of life insurance. Um, you know, let me know if this is something that you're interested in. Is this something that you and your spouse have thought about? Do you have insurance? How much are you paying for it? Do you have any health issues? Just kind of, these are questions that you can bounce off of them, and then you can get with us here at Pinnacle, and we'll run up a couple different proposals so that you can go back to your client with some options. Maybe we could show them a term option as well as a final expense option. Sometimes clients will bundle those. We'll get both. We won't know until we ask, right? And here at Pinnacle, we have all of the products, all of the tools, all of the training, everything you need to be successful. So we certainly recommend that you reach out to us, set up a time to review one-on-one your client base. Anything that you're working on, shoot it by us. Maybe we'll have some suggestions for that particular client, right? I also wanted to throw in some of the life insurance lead generation and programs. Obviously, I mentioned your existing client base. Very easy to talk to. You've done business with them before. Just a lot more of a comfortable conversation as opposed to cold calling somebody. Networking, referrals, always good. If you're writing somebody up, you're obviously going to ask, if they have, any family members or, brothers and sisters, always ask, if you do a great job explaining the plan and they, it was very easy for them to do business with you, they're most likely going to refer anybody else that they know over to you. So keep that in mind and always ask for referrals. Don't, jam it down their throats, but in the nicest, most cordial way, you can certainly get referrals, and people are glad to give them for sure. In your community, I know the pandemic's kind of put a halt on this, but obviously we have our family members, our friends, people in our community, such as church members, other parents or families that go to school with your children, other members of the gym, any place where you will meet people, or any congregation. Look, these are people in your community, that could certainly benefit from these types of plans. Okay. And we also have specific, mailers. We have internet leads. These are, lead resources that you can get pretty much instantaneously, as far as like the internet leads. If you do an order, they're typically emailed to you within 24 to 48 hours. These internet leads are actually pretty popular these days. A lot of these lead companies, what they'll do is, they'll create ads on social media platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, and so forth. And they'll basically assign those leads to you based on your territory that you select. Tons of vendors out there. These aren't all of them. These are just ones that we and our agents have done business with in the past and have had success with. We have our Target Leads out of Texas, Lead Concepts out of Texas, RGI out of Georgia. Very, very good companies, offer very inexpensive direct mailer programs. You can do these for really any type of life insurance. You can do them for annuities. You can do them for Medicare. Here's the websites. Certainly feel free to go on here, contact the companies. They'll give you a price quote and, kind of walk you through, what some of the best types of leads would be based on your specific area. Same thing with the internet leads. Again, they do the ads on Facebook, social media. They can be maybe a little bit more expensive, but you are getting those pretty much in real time. Like I said, 24 to 48 hours after you order them. And it's, we have all the scripts, we have, the marketing materials, the brochures, anything that you need to send to the client while you're talking to them. I also mentioned that you can do e-apps with all of these. So you can do pretty much everything right over the phone. Don't need to see the client face to face. Pretty much all of these carriers have made that exception, due to this pandemic. So I appreciate everyone so much for taking the time. I know I covered a lot of information. That's why I really wanted to stress that I'm sending everybody a copy of these slides for your records. Please feel free to get in touch with me or my colleague Warren Redinger here in our office. If you have any questions, or again, if you wanted to set up a one-on-one training session, we can certainly do that. My contact information is right here, as well as Warren's. And also, if you're a new agent, not contracted with us, you can certainly go right to our website, pfsinsurance.com/services/contracting, and you can do online contracting, or you can download our PDF contract and set that into us. We'll get you all squared away. If you're an existing agent, you're already set up with us, give us a call, shoot us an email, say, hey, I'd like to sell life insurance, or hey, I'd like a specific life insurance product or company, or whatever it may be. Give us a call, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to walk you through it, and we really want to help you increase your sales this year with life insurance. As you saw, that income chart there, just with final expense, you can certainly increase your income upwards of $75,000 plus. Okay. So thank you guys so much again. I'll be sending out the copy of the recording to you before the end of the day. And I look forward to hearing from everyone here, and have a wonderful day, everyone. Thanks again.